A woman came into my shop about 4 months ago. She had just bought a 2024 Honda HR-V LX trim, about 31,000 miles on it, one previous owner.
She paid $16,500 for it at a used car lot. Thought she got a deal. Within 2 weeks, she was back. The rear wiper motor had seized. The infotainment screen was throwing a blackout glitch. And the one that really stung, the CVT was already showing early shutter under light acceleration. We're talking a car that was barely broken in, and she was already looking at repairs that the dealer wanted $2,800 to address.
The lot? Gone. No recourse.
Welcome back to Honda Decoded. I'm Mike. I've been turning wrenches for 25 years, and I see this exact scenario play out more often than I should. The HR-V gets a lot of love online. People talk about the interior space, the ride quality, a Honda badge, and most of that love is deserved. But a used HR-V without a proper pre-purchase inspection is a gamble, and I'm going to walk you through exactly what to inspect, what to ask for, and what to walk away from. Stay until the end, because the last two checks are the ones most buyers completely skip, and they're the most expensive to fix. Point 1. The CVT, your first non-negotiable. 2023 and up HR-V runs Honda's Earth Dreams 2.0-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder paired to a continuously variable transmission, the CVT. That combination is smooth, efficient, and genuinely pleasant to drive when it's healthy. When it isn't, you'll know, because the CVT doesn't fail loudly or suddenly. It fails quietly, progressively, and expensively. A full CVT replacement on this generation HR-V runs between $4,200 and $5,800 depending on whether you go dealer or independent shop and whether you're doing a reman unit or a new one. That's not a repair. That's a financial event. Here's what to feel for during the test drive. Get on a highway on-ramp and apply about 60 to 70% throttle, not full throttle, just a firm push. A healthy CVT will feel like a smooth, linear pull. What you don't want is a sensation that feels like the engine is revving but the car isn't keeping up. That hesitation, that disconnect between engine noise and actual acceleration is called belt slip, and it's a red flag. Also pay attention at very low speeds in a parking lot. Creep the car forward at idle. Any shudder, any vibration through the floor at speeds under 10 miles an hour, walk away. That shudder at low speed is the CVT belt chattering, and it means the fluid is degraded or the unit is already wearing internally. Prule the CVT dipstick if the car has one, some trim levels do. The fluid should be a clear, slightly pink or light red color. If it's brown, burnt smelling, or has a gritty feel between your fingers, the previous owner neglected it. Honda recommends CVT fluid replacement every 30,000 miles on this generation. Ask the seller for service records. If they can't show you a CVT fluid change at or before 30,000 miles on a car with 60,000 miles on it, factor at least $250 to $300 into your offer for an immediate fluid change, and be cautious about what else they skipped. If this kind of specific shop floor information is useful to you, hit subscribe. This channel exists for buyers who want the real story before they hand over their money. Point 2. Infotainment system. More than an annoyance, the 2023 redesign brought a 9-inch touchscreen into the HR-V, and it's a big visual improvement over the previous generation. This system has a known issue that I've now seen on 4 different examples in my shop. A black screen on startup that requires a hard reset, and in some cases a full unit replacement. Honda issued a software update to address this, and most dealer-serviced cars should have it. But a car that went from dealer to a used lot without that update applied, that's a $200 diagnostic visit and potentially a software reflash, or worse, a unit replacement that Honda quotes at around $900 to $1,200 installed. Before you buy, sit in the car for at least 5 minutes with everything cold. Start it from cold and watch the infotainment screen come up. It should initialize within about 10 to 15 seconds. If it takes longer, flickers, or comes up dark and then corrects itself, ask the seller whether the Honda Software Bulletin, dealers will call it a TSB, Technical Service Bulletin, has been applied. If they don't know what you're talking about, assume it hasn't been done. Also test the wireless CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. Pair your phone, make a call, play audio, disconnect and reconnect. These systems on early 2023 and 2024 builds had Bluetooth handshake issues that again are software addressable, but only if someone actually did the update. Subscribe to Honda Decoded. Every video is built around a specific Honda model, a specific problem, and a specific dollar figure. No filler, no fluff. Point 3. Under the hood, the 2.0 inspection. 2.0-liter L20C engine in this HR-V is on paper a simple, robust motor. No turbo, no hybrid system, no variable cylinder management. That simplicity is actually good news for buyers. But simple doesn't mean maintenance-free, and a used example that skipped oil changes is still a problem even without the complexity. Pull the oil cap and look inside the valve cover opening with a flashlight. You want to see clean, golden or amber oil residue, what the trade calls normal varnish. What you don't want is a thick, dark, sludgy buildup around the cam towers. That tells you the car was run long and hard between oil changes. And sludge in a Honda engine means you're looking at a potential VTC actuator failure down the road. That's the variable timing control unit, which runs $500 to $900 to replace properly. Also check the coolant reservoir. On a car with under 60,000 miles, it should be clean and green or orange depending on what Honda put in from the factory. Cloudy coolant, oil droplets floating on top of the coolant, or a brownish tint in the reservoir are all signs of a head gasket issue beginning to develop. And while the L20C doesn't have the head gasket reputation of some older Honda engines, a neglected cooling system can create those problems in any motor. Coolant flush on this car is about $140 to $180 at an independent shop. If the coolant looks wrong, get that price deducted from the offer and have it done immediately. I had a 2025 HR-V come in last spring. EXL trim, 44,000 miles, second owner. The first owner had done every oil change on time, had records to prove it. The second owner bought it at 40,000 miles and in 4,000 miles, hadn't changed the oil once and had been topping it off with whatever was on sale. The oil pressure light had just started flickering on cold starts. We pulled the valve cover, found the beginning of sludge formation around the cam chain tensioner. Caught it early enough to fix it with a flush and a tensioner replacement for about $620 total. 2 more months and that bill doubles or worse. We cover one Honda model at a time in detail. If you're shopping HR-V, Civic, CR-V, or Accord, subscribe so you don't miss the video that saves you money. Point 4. Body and interior. What the price hides, the HR-V's exterior has a lot of black plastic trim. Around the windows, along the lower rocker panels, on the rear bumper. That trim fades. On a car that's been sitting in a hot climate or hasn't been properly maintained cosmetically, you'll see it go from a deep gloss black to a chalky gray within 3 to 4 years. That's a cosmetic issue, not a mechanical one, and it's absolutely leverage in a negotiation. A professional plastic trim restoration runs about $200 to $300 at a detailer. If the car you're looking at has faded trim, knock that off the asking price without apology. On the interior, the leather seating surface on the EXL is genuine on the center panels, but the bolsters and the rear bench use leatherette. That leatherette can crack or delaminate on high-use examples, especially in the Sunbelt states. Sit in every seat. Run your hand along the bolsters. Check the driver's seat base. That's where 90% of wear shows up. A driver's seat that's cracking or showing foam through the surface is a sign of heavy daily use, and it tells you something about how the rest of the car was treated. Seat repair on this generation runs anywhere from $400 to over $1,000, depending on whether you go upholstery shop or dealer. Also open and close every door. HR-V's door alignment from the factory is tight and consistent. If a door drops, doesn't latch cleanly on the first push, or shows uneven gaps at the body lines, that car has been in a collision. I don't care what the Carfax says. I've seen plenty of accident cars with clean reports because the repair was paid out of pocket. Bring a paint thickness gauge if you have one, or ask an independent shop to run one over the panels before you commit. Mismatched panel thickness tells you what Carfax can't. 5. The brake and suspension walk around. The HR-V rides on a relatively simple independent front, torsion beam rear suspension setup. That torsion beam rear is not sporty, but it is durable and inexpensive to service compared to a full independent rear. However, what I do see on these cars that have lived in northern states, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, upstate New York, is rear beam bushings that have deteriorated from road salt exposure. You won't feel it dramatically on a test drive, but you'll hear it. a low, dull clunk over uneven pavement at low speed, specifically from the rear of the car. Rear bushing replacement on this chassis runs about $350 to $500 at an independent shop. It's not catastrophic, but it's a negotiating point. Look at the brake rotors through the wheel spokes before the test drive. On a car with under 50,000 miles, you should not see deep grooves cut into the rotor face. Light surface rust is normal if the car has been sitting. That clears up after a few stops. Grooves mean the pads were run down too far before replacement, and that usually means the rotors need to be replaced along with the pads. A full four-wheel brake job on the HR-V, pads and rotors, runs about $650 to $850 at a good independent shop. Dealers will quote you closer to $1,100. If the rotors look grooved and the car has under 60,000 miles, ask yourself what else was left to go too long. Don't more drop your HR-V's year, trim, and mileage in the comments. I read every one. And if there's a specific issue you're seeing, I'll address it directly. Point 6. The capless fuel filler, a small thing that is Honda added a capless fuel filler to this generation HR-V, and most buyers treat it as a convenience feature and move on. It is convenient. It's also a failure point that I want you to know about before you buy. The capless system uses a spring-loaded flap inside the filler neck to seal the tank. When that spring weakens or the flap gets stuck, from debris, from cheap fuel, or from someone forcing the nozzle in wrong, you can get a fuel system evap code thrown. That's an evaporative emissions fault. The check engine light comes on. You go to get it diagnosed and the shop charges $150 for the diagnostic. OB then tells you the filler flap mechanism needs to be replaced. That's another $200 to $300 for the part and labor. Total bill around $400 to $450. Before you finalize any purchase, ask to check the fuel door area. Look inside the filler neck with a flashlight. The flap should spring open easily when you insert a finger and spring back cleanly. If it feels stiff, grinds, or doesn't return flush, flag it. Awful. And if the car has a check engine light, any check engine light, do not let the seller tell you it's nothing. Pay an independent shop $50 to $100 to pull the codes before you sign anything. Check engine light on a used car you haven't bought yet is a negotiation tool at minimum and a deal breaker at maximum. Never let it slide. Honest disclosure. Everything I've covered here is based on patterns I've seen across dozens of HR-V examples in my shop and through conversations with other Honda-focused technicians. These aren't guarantees. A given used HR-V might have none of these issues, or it might have all of them. The 2023 and up HR-V is a genuinely solid vehicle when it's been maintained. The goal of this walkthrough is to give you a checklist, not a reason to avoid the car. What I always recommend, regardless of how clean any used car looks, regardless of how good the Carfax report reads, is a pre-purchase inspection by an independent mechanic who has no stake in whether you buy the car. Most shops will do a thorough PPI for between $100 and $150. On a $15,000 to $18,000 purchase decision, that's the best money you'll spend. If the seller refuses to let you take the car to an independent shop for an inspection, that's your answer right there. The HR-V earns its reputation. Good interior space, solid ride quality, Honda reliability when it's maintained right. But used car buying is about information, and the lot or the private seller is not going to hand you that information voluntarily. You have to go get it. Now you know where to look. Drop your HR-V in the comments. Year, trim, and mileage. If you've already bought one and you're seeing something I didn't cover, put it down there too. This community is how these videos get better. I'm Mike. Buy smart, maintain it right, and it'll take care of you.